My name is Guy Braithwaite. I'm one of the church buildings managers in the Cathedral and Church Buildings Department. As part of this role, I run the Buildings for Mission project. Buildings for Mission is funded by the Church Commissioners and administered through the Archbishop's Council. It started in 2023. Following the success of that first triennium, we've just started our second triennium with a renewed budget of £10 million. The aim of the project is to provide practical help to parishes to look after their church buildings so that they remain open and sustainable. By reducing the burden of buildings management on PCCs and volunteers, we want to foster robust and flourishing congregations and to release resources, energy, and potential for mission and outreach. We have three main initiatives. The first of these is the Church Buildings Support Officers Grant Scheme. This was introduced in 2023 to grant aid the creation of CBSO, i.e. support officer posts, on the model recommended by the Taylor Review. The support officer's role is to provide help to parishes at the grassroots level on repair, maintenance and buildings management, for example, understanding QI reports, prioritising work and finding contractors. They also help parishes engage with their communities more widely by improving church facilities and organising outreach and events. They can also help with fundraising. They add to existing diocesan level provision by filling gaps in specialist support, especially focusing on more deprived areas and church communities. Most of the grant-aided support officers are employed by dioceses, but there are a few in partner organisations. Currently, we have the Association of Festival Churches, the Bat Conservation Trust, and the Centre for the Study of Christianity and Culture at York University, which is working with major churches. We were able to support 36 posts in our first triennium. We recently ran an application round and will be grant aiding the same number of posts over 2026 to 29, many of them renewals of the existing cohort, but with some new posts as well. We commissioned independent evaluation of the work so far. This has found that on church buildings management, CBSOs are seen as the human interface between complex systems and local capacity. Direct support has been the most valued. The approval rating was very high at 85%. Many parishes reported an improved understanding of buildings-related issues and an improved approach to buildings management. 3/4 said that they were more likely to seek advice from their diocese in future. On fabric repairs, CBSOs were seen as getting projects off the ground or unlocking stalled projects. Had there been no support, over half of the supported parishes considered that complete or partial closure of the building would have been likely. Parishes valued the knowledge and advice and hands-on practical support, for example with the faculty system, other permissions and funding applications. On community engagement, the CBSOs added capacity in understanding the needs of the congregation and wider church users. Engagement officers brokered relationships with local groups and communities, facilitated consultations, and helped form friends groups. The majority of parishes expected the CBSO support to sustain or increase the use of the church over the next 5 years. On fundraising, over half of parishes reported that they were now better able to apply for grant funding. The most frequent theme in parish feedback was that wider CBSO support unlocks projects and builds capacity. There have been additional benefits not envisaged as part of the original business case. For example, in the improvement in diocesan teams' engagement with hard-to-reach parishes and in compliance with the faculty process. To support the initiative, we have a flourishing training and liaison programme for the support officers, which is coordinated by the national team. This has been positively received. The second strand of Buildings for Mission is the Minor Repairs and Improvements Grants Fund. This works by allocating a block grant to each diocese to administer as a local grant scheme for urgent and necessary repairs or improvements to church buildings. Shares of the fund are calculated according to a formula which takes account of the number of churches per diocese, their relative size, and the level of deprivation of the population. The main focus of the fund is the repair of the building, concentrating on the most urgent work and stitch-in-time interventions, which can save money in the long term. Improvements to welcome facilities or building services can be granted as well, where they are essential to sustaining or widening the use of the church. The first round of the MR&I Grants Fund has been a tremendous success. By the end of March 2026, just over 1,500 grants had been offered, totaling £6.1 million, which accounted for 99% of the budget available. These grants have generated over £7 million in partnership funding. They have reached more than 10% of all parishes and almost 10% of all C of E churches in around 2 years of grant giving. More than a third of the grants were made to parishes in the most deprived parishes, that is, the bottom 20%, by index of multiple deprivation. So it has truly targeted the neediest churches. All round, it has been an impressive achievement on the part of the diocesan teams, and it's a phenomenal reach for the Grants Fund. Some key findings from the evaluation of the fund. 96% of parishes surveyed which had received a grant agreed that a stitch-in-time intervention had been achieved. There was strong evidence also that grants had brought about an urgent and essential repair, prevented further damage or deterioration, or improved health and safety. Many parishes said that the grant was essential to completing repairs they could not otherwise afford. This was especially true for churches with small congregations or in deprived areas. Some parishes also reported a better understanding of building-related issues and an improved ability to apply for grant funding. 3/4 of those surveyed reported that there would have been some closure or suspension of use of all or part of the building had there been no grant. On community engagement, MR&I grants made spaces more welcoming for worship and community use. The majority of parishes surveyed expected that the number of worshippers and local non-worship users of the church facilities would increase over the next 5 years. These beneficial effects were amplified when the grants were coupled with CBSO support. The third strand of Buildings for Mission is the Church Buildings Management Partnerships Initiative. The core idea of this is the formation of partnerships among churches in a given area to provide maintenance and insurance services to member churches. These services will be purchased collectively, thereby achieving economies of scale and removing a practical and administrative burden from parishes. The initiative was launched in 2024 as a development project undertaken through 4 pilot partnerships. These are focused on maintenance and facilities management and are taking place over 2025 to 26, testing different approaches to collective procurement and management, and providing data which will then be available to refine a model or a set of models for partnership working. The pilots will be asked to share data on insurance so that a sample of cases will be available for analysis to inform any proposal for a new approach to insurance procurement. The principles of church insurance will need first to be investigated and options for alternative strategies assessed. The pilots are in Ely, Leeds, Liverpool and St Ed's and Ips dioceses, with a combined grant of £232,000. All 4 pilots have project plans in place now being implemented. All 4 are taking different approaches, which will provide useful data for comparison. The pilots are supported by Anne-Marie Childs, our parish buying specialist in maintenance and facilities management procurement. Looking ahead, we're currently running an application round for the MR&I Grants Fund and aim to make an announcement on block grants to every diocese in June. The new CBSO posts, meanwhile, will be starting in July 2026. We'll soon be publishing the independent evaluation of the first 3 years of the project. We're also joining a multi-agency project called Nature in Sacred Places, and you'll be hearing more on that from Diana Spencer in today's session. And we'll be funding further development of the Buildings Management Portal, and you'll be hearing more on that from James Miles. Well, that's Buildings for Mission. Thank you for listening, and I hope to be working with you soon.